would risk his neck for his brother, man.
Shut!
Can you dig it?
Chris, what's going on?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing just fine, thank you.
I'm more an apple pie man than a cherry pie myself.
Well, let's use apple pie then.
Okay.
That's fine. Take me to the orchard.
Okay.
And show me where those apples came from.
You know, regarding the memo, I am for full transparency. I mean, if this is something that the American people should see regarding if the FBI is investigating the president under false pretenses, then let it out there and let the American public decide. I don't understand what the Democrats are so afraid of.
Yeah, me neither. That's the one thing that I've been amazed at in watching this entire thing is what is it that they don't want us to see?
And we do know really why. I mean, the fact is this memo is going to expose what we've heard from other congressmen like Trey Gowdy and others, that this memo is going to show corruption at almost the highest levels of government, including the FBI and the Justice Department, of a scheme after President Trump's election to disrupt his presidency so that he never gets off the ground. And there's emails and things like that make you wonder. You know,
that this Brad Westrup, he's a congressman I'm not familiar with. He's a Republican that they interviewed this morning on Fox. He's seen the memo, and you know they've now voted to release it. Apparently, the White House still has to make a decision on that. But listen very quickly to what Westrup said about what's contained in the memo. Basically, is it about FISA?
I think, Congressman, that this program has been abused.
Well, I think that we certainly have some eye-raising things that we have seen take place. I think that the process has not been carried out to the intent that it was supposed to, and I think that it's made for some bad decisions along the way. Sometimes there may be the possibility of information that's been withheld as the process goes forward. And so this is what we want to clarify. We want the American people to have eyes on this so that they have some idea of what we've been dealing with. And I will say this, Bill, we voted unanimously. Although the Democrats voted against us releasing this memo to our colleagues, we voted unanimously to let their memo go to our colleagues. We are trying to be fair, professional, informative, transparent, and get to the truth.
So again, that's Congressman Brad Westrup this morning talking to Bill Hemmer on Fox. The most fascinating thing that could happen is that the president comes out tonight, gets introduced, stands up at the podium, says, "This is my State of the Union speech, but you all know how fabulous everything is," tosses it in the garbage, pulls out the 4-page FISA memo and says, "This is the memo that I've decided to make public," and then just read it to the American people. He'll never have a bigger audience than he's going to have tonight. That'd be perfect.
As the political consultant that you always give me a hard time about, I wouldn't necessarily advise that.
Come on.
I think with all the great economic news that we have going on, even though the stock market's not doing so well right now, but that's a whole other separate issue.
Thank you.
I think he should be talking about the economic prosperity and the gains and everything that we have. The reason why the stock market is doing bad is because they're talking about raising interest rates. And when you talk about raising interest rates, they're worried about inflation and prices, and that slows an economy down, and that gives the fat cats on Wall Street heartburn. So they don't like high interest rates.
Because they lose money on the yield when that happens.
Exactly.
And that's what makes them nervous, and it's not a surprise. You know, everybody had to expect this. If you've ever sat down and talked to a financial advisor, you'll know they'll warn you that interest rates can only go up, and when they do, it's going to make the market a little bit nervous. So,
especially when the economy's doing well,
affects bond prices and everything else.
They don't want it to overheat and
bubbles
and all that stuff.
I understand that, but back to your point,
yes,
though,
sir.
The economy is doing well. There's no denying it. Even if Donald Trump can't take 100% credit for what it's done in the year plus that he's been in office, he's had a tremendous impact on it. His personal approval ratings may still be in the 40s, but the approval rating for the economy is at 50% or better because people see the difference in their paychecks. And the point I was making here earlier is that the risk Democrats run here, just being the party of no, is that when people see things are getting better and they know that their party didn't vote for any of it, they're going to really start questioning what's going on up there, aren't they?
The Democratic Party is going to be known for the party that supports and protects illegal immigrants, and the party that calls $1,000 bonus checks crumbs. That's what they are. That's what they are painting themselves as. That type of party.
Yeah. Well, I'm anxious to watch. I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching it myself tonight just to see what he has to say.
Speaking of that, Tony Colombo and I are hosting our State of the Union coverage tonight from 9 to 12, so I want to throw that plug in.
Oh, good.
We're doing the
Tony reached out to me and asked if I could join you guys at some point after the speech, and I told him
you go to sleep at 9.
I'm normally in bed by then, but no. I told him I'd put down my bourbon and Coke and join him and for a little bit of time on the radio.
Wake you up. What a trooper.
Yeah. Somebody pointed out yesterday, and Kellyanne Conway referred to it, ran her bite earlier, as reflexive hate. That's what I see reflected in the people who are going to boycott the speech tonight. People like Nancy Pelosi, who still won't back away from her criticism of the president's immigration proposal as trying to make America white again. She didn't back down at all when asked about that. I think we've got her reacting to that here, don't we, Liz? Anyway, I saw that earlier where she was talking. Oh, cut 22. I think she was on with Chris Cuomo because she's probably afraid to go on Fox. Hit it.
Do you think that it helped the chance of getting a deal done by describing their offer as making America white again?
Well, that's what they're doing. I could have been saying that a year ago, but the president said it. He said it when he talked about certain countries and how he characterized them.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. Now, you and I talked about the fact that some of the things the president's done in the past, like the birth certificate issue, have some people in the black community convinced that he's some sort of a racist.
What the hell do you have to lose?
But the bottom line is that not going to this speech tonight doesn't prove that point. It doesn't do anything but get you an extra soundbite on the news. It's just a PR stunt by these folks.
I've been saying this for years, that unfortunately the civil rights industry hasn't had a new idea in 50 years. Somehow them walking out or boycotting the State of the Union is supposed to have some type of impact on Donald Trump or the nation. I mean, you look kind of silly when you're boycotting a president who, whether he can take full credit for it or some of it happened during Barack Obama's presidency, the black unemployment rate is the lowest it's ever been in history, and it accelerated once President Trump became president. I mean, you can't argue the numbers and the fact of that.
Well, Scott Jones could argue that, because I saw him taking you up on Facebook over it, right?
Scott is bought and paid for a Kool-Aid drinker. He's got he's got an interest in
This is what I would say to the folks that believe.
And I love Scott, though.
I know you do.
If it looked like a duck, walk like a duck, and quack like a duck, it's a duck.
And she's going to jail today.
Did you see the picture of her? So this is Corrine Brown, former Florida congresswoman, who set up some sort of a foundation that was supposed to help poor students, but basically funded her lavish lifestyle. She got busted. She finally pleaded guilty to it after claiming that it was racist to charge her in the first place. And then there was a picture of her getting out of a $90,000 Mercedes at the prison. It's unbelievable.
Well, to correct the record, I think she was going in to be sentenced.
Oh, I thought she was actually showing up to serve her jail time.
No, I think she's going to be sentenced
okay.
today.
That's not quite as bad that you show up in the $90,000 car you bought with donations to your foundation.
You can't go to the grave. You can't be dropped off at the Gray Bar Hotel with in a Mercedes. So that doesn't look good.
That does not look good at all. All right, Chris, thank you. Well, we'll get to your phone calls here in a minute. 314-969-9797. A couple things that we really haven't touched on yet. One of them, of course, is this DACA bill. I want to talk about kind of where the negotiations stand on that. The awkward position that the president has put the Democratic Party in here. They're really in a bind. They really are. We're going to talk about that. We'll get to your phone calls. It's all coming up on The Marc Cox Show.